Welcome everyone to our second WTH webinar training session. We're so glad to see so many of you joined us today, some of you for a second time. My name is Leslie and I'll be moderating today. This is the second of a series of 5 webinars. If you navigate to our website, WTHGIS.com, and click on the banner, it will take you to the webinar menu page where you can register for or explore other topics of discussion in more detail. We have a total of 4 sessions available that will cover Think GIS editor training, the new address wizard, the parcel split wizard, and ThinkGIS.com. Our topic for today's session is Think GIS editor training, where we'll go more in depth on more map index functions, map editing tools, and workspace hints. If there is something that isn't making sense or you would like more information on, we invite you to post a question in our Q&A tab that you can access in the Teams toolbar above. From there, you can submit a question in the side discussion bar. After we're done here today, you will receive an email that will have 2 things. First is a survey link where we ask that you provide feedback on how we did here today. On that survey will also be a section where you can request more in-depth training on some features we may not have time to cover in today's session. If you would like more information, please leave a brief description of what you would like to review so we can have the appropriate team member reach out to you. The second thing to watch for in that email will be a link to a recording of today's session. The link will be available on our website webinar registration page to access at any time, for review as a refresher, or to use as a tool when training new employees. Now I'll turn the session over to Jason. Jason is a senior GIS consultant and customer service tech. He's been with WTH for over 20 years and specializes in land information and utility work. Take it away, Jason.
Good morning. And welcome back if you were in the first session previously as well. And yeah, as Leslie said, I'm Jason. Been here a long time and do a lot of training. So many of you that have been working with the map and do training and call in for service, you may have spoken with me. I know my kind of primary kind of areas are land information and utilities, but I do help out with the public safety as well. And today, we will be going over kind of the editing, kind of getting into the basic building blocks of editing and just showing how to, do the kind of the beginning parts of it, touch on a little advanced. But once it gets into a little more advanced, give me a call. We can I can talk to you and kind of individually as needed go over specific things that you need. But what we'll do here is go ahead and pull the map up. And thing there, close that. So my map looks like everybody else's when they first open it. The initial part of editing, I guess we would say, is having a layer to work on. So the first thing we'll go over is kind of the steps for layer creation. With this, we would just go to our layer settings, and I'll just left click there to open up my layer settings. Down at the bottom of the layer settings, we have the option for add layer. If I left click, I get 2 options on the next window. We have create new layer and add existing layer. Add existing layer would be if you have a layer that, already exists, it's out there, but it's just not in your layer settings. Maybe, it was created previously and removed from the layer settings, but you want to put it back on. So like here, if I was to highlight this and hit OK, I get a window. I'll pull that over here. that pops up. And for the specific map I'm looking at, this is all of the layers that are available there. And if there was one here that's not in my layer settings, I could simply, click to highlight, then hit open. I won't do that at this time. I'll just close this window. But at that point, it would put it at the bottom of my layer settings. And then, I could move it up, into one of these categories or wherever it needs to be. But for this, we're going to do add layer. And we're going to do the create new layer option. So I'll highlight create new layer, hit OK. Now on this next page, we have basic layer, and then below that are templates for other layers. A vast majority of the time, basic layer is going to be what you need. As you see over to the right with basic layer highlighted, we have one field, and it's just called feature name. And that's just so that you can kind of customize the layer to what you need it for. Yeah, just to, set it up how you need it. The ones below, and you may not have as many as I do. I've created a bunch of them over the years and everything, so I can scan up and down, and yeah, I've got tons of them. But yeah, like if I was to do address points, if I click here, we can see over to the right, if I scan down, that this is going to start off a blank layer, but it's already going to have street, direction, community, house, suffix, comment, kind of some of the basic addressing fields for that layer. But again, for this one, we're just going to go basic layer because we just want to kind of start from scratch. So I'm going to highlight this and hit OK. Now on the next window, it just says, hey, we're going to create a new layer, and it's just called new layer. So I can highlight this, just left click, hold, drag across to highlight it, and then I'm just going to hit delete. Kind of clear that out. And then now we just need to give it a name. So I will just call this practice. Because we'll just go kind of practice doing some different things with this layer. So I'll hit OK. And now this is just listing where on your computer this is being created. And this, just like a majority of the time, this is just, see Think GIS. And in this case, I'm in a Montezuma map. So in that folder, and it's creating a layer called practice.tml. So that's the actual file name. So here I'll hit OK. And now my layer has been created, and it's at the bottom of my layer settings. So it is ready for us to do whatever we need to do with it. Kind of set it up, customize it, do what we need to do. So at this point, before we start drawing or anything, we will set the layer up. And like we went over in kind of the previous session with the layer settings, kind of in the beginning training one we did, line, text, fill. And in this case, I'll just click line, and just so that it shows up pretty well and everything, I'm going to choose kind of a darker blue and make the line thicker. I'm going to go to 2 pixels. Then under the text column, again, so that it stands out pretty well, I'll just make the text white, make it bold, and put a black shadow around it. So now it'll really, like I said, really stand out. And in the fill, we'll just pick a color. It kind of defaults to kind of a light blue, which that's fine for what we're doing. But I will kind of come down below that to the opacity and slide this bar down a little bit, which will make, anything that we draw transparent so that we can see what's below it and or under it, because our layer is all the way at the bottom of the layer settings, which means out on the map, it's all the way on top of everything. So it's kind of the, I guess you'd say, the last layer put down. So it's on top. So we have kind of the line color, fill color, the opacity, text. That is all set for what we need now. So the next portion that we can go over is, again, setting up the layer to, I guess, to take the data that we need. And as I mentioned, with the basic layer, it was just feature name, one field, feature name. So to kind of customize that, we will go to the layer format, and there's, I guess, a couple different ways to go to it. One, you can just hover your cursor over the name of the layer and right click, which at that point brings up kind of a menu in the upper right hand corner, and we can go to layer format. You can also kind of left click and hold on this slide bar down here, go all the way to the right and click more. That will take you to this same menu. Either one of them will work, do the same thing. So because, like I said, we needed to go to the layer format to kind of set our layer up, I'll go ahead and left click, which opens the layer format for this layer. And as you see, we have our one field, feature name. And this window is kind of the, I guess you say, like the guts of the layer, where we can change it all around and completely set it up to what we need. So all of the fields will be listed down the left-hand side in this window. And for each one of the fields, we have this menu to the right, kind of field name, field type, field length, and the input method. So any of these are customizable. So for field name, since we're just going to be kind of throwing some different features out there, I'm just going to change this. Instead of calling it feature name, I'll just call it ID. So, just we can put a different number, anything we want on that. The next field is field type. And this is, like it says, what type of a field that it is. What do we need it to do? So if I hit the pull down arrow, you get kind of a long list. The first option is the default, which is text. And that just means you can type in whatever you want to type in. Then we have integer, decimal, date. The date field is commonly used. That would set it up, with kind of a calendar, and you can put, just click on it pulls up a little calendar, and we can show that here shortly. And you just choose your date. Yes, no field just gives you a pull down, and you can either put yes or no, and that's all it will take. Calculated length, if you select that, any line that you draw on the map, that field will autofill with the length of that line that you've drawn. Calculated area would be any areas that you draw on the map, whether it's a zone, parcel, town boundary, any type of an area that's drawn. That would give you the calculated area. Time, it just fills in what time you put it in. Auto number. Then we have auto search results, which is getting, if you need to use that, give me a call. Kind of the link database fields, auto search, and there's a few down at the bottom. If you need to get into here, like concatenation and everything, give me a call and yeah, we can do like little one-on-one training on that and go over that. But for this, because like I said, it's just an ID, I'm going to go to auto number. Left click, and it just pulls up, say, next number is 1. And what that field now will do is every time I create a feature on this layer, any new feature, it's going to assign it the next number. So if we create a feature, it's going to give it 1, create another feature, 2, and so on. So then it just keeps building up as far as it goes. That number doesn't really, mean anything. It's just kind of just to give it just a unique ID so that you don't get messages that it's a duplicate feature. So if you're working with a layer, for example, like with utilities, if you were doing water lines and you placed a 4-inch PVC pipe and you only had like size and type and you put 4-inch PVC and then created another feature, it is going to notify you that that's a duplicate feature. Would you like to place it anyway? And you'd have to click yes. By putting in an ID with an auto number, that does give it a unique feature that it won't give you that option, that you have to click through every time you create a feature saying that it's duplicate. Kind of helps bypass that and speed things up. So we have our one field, it's an ID that's going to auto number. To add fields, we just come over to the kind of fields area and down at the bottom, select add. So I'll just left click and it just pulls up new field. And as you see, it defaults to text, a field length of 20, which means you can type 20 characters in there. And the input method is normal, which just means you type in there. So I mentioned water lines earlier. If this was going to be for water lines, and we can do it for anything, but I'm just going to put in size. So now we have the field name of size, 20 characters, text. In this case, down at the bottom where it says input method is normal. If I wanted to change that, because working with water lines, you have specific sizes that you're going to work with, we can hit the pull down and choose a pick from list. This brings up a window now saying essentially what sizes do you work with. So I'll just do 2, 4, and 6. And so we have just a small list, and yeah, most of them will be longer than that, but yeah, we'll keep it simple here. So we will just hit OK. So now the input method is listed as pick from list. So if we go now to add another, and I could put type, and I'll just leave this one, and that's just what pipe type we're going to put in. And again, this is text, 20 characters, input method normal, which means we can type anything we want up to 20 characters. I'll add another one. I mentioned like the date field, so I could just call this date, hit the pull down for the field type, and choose date. And this is now field type date, and it does check a box down here at the bottom, which is autofill new records with current date. So anytime you hit new feature to create a feature, it is going to automatically put today that day's date, like today's date, in that field. And you can go in and change it as needed. But then another common one is like a comments field. And any of you that have worked with me before, if we're setting up layers, you probably know that I tend to add comments fields just in case you need to put in a little note or anything. And again, comments, text is fine. A field length of 200, that would be a really, really short note. So I'm just going to click at the end and add a 0. So now it's 200. So now you can put a little note in there. And you can make it larger if you need to. But for this, yeah, we'll just go with 200. And I think that's pretty good for what we have so far, for what we need right now. So I'll just hit OK and hit the slide bar, pull that back over so we can see our layer. And we have our practice layer all set up, color, text, fill, our fields are set. So we're good to go. So now I'll just close. And we're out on the map. So to start editing now that we have a layer, I'm just going to zoom in to a spot here. I'll just come down here. There's a kind of an open field, which gives us kind of a blank canvas just to tinker around on. So to start editing, we have kind of just the basic toolbar up here at the top, which is, whether you're an editor or viewer, this is what you're going to see. But we will come to the top and go to Tools. So we'll do Tools, left click, and then under the Tools menu, we want Show Map Editing Tools. This opens the editing toolbar. And this has all of our options to do whatever we need. The two fields to really kind of keep an eye on whenever you're editing are right here, current layer and current feature. If you're doing, hitting new feature here to create new items, current layer is the layer it's being created on, and current feature is the feature that you're using within that layer if you're drawing. So right now it's all blank because we just opened it. And you see most of our tools are grayed out. So I'll just hit current layer, pull down, and we only have because we just created it, the practice layer that I created is kind of locked into editing mode. So that's the only one that's listed. So under the current layer, any layer that you have locked for editing will be listed here. And you can kind of choose from whichever one you need. So I'm just going to left click on practice because that's the only layer we have right now to work with. And then which feature we want to work with, I'll hit the pull down. And as we see here, it's blank because it's a brand new layer. We can see our fields in here, but we don't have anything yet. So I'll just hit OK. Actually, let's close that, not hit OK. Get an index error because we didn't have anything. So to create a layer or create a feature on that layer, we just go to the left of current layer and left click new feature. This brings up kind of the blank form to create it. And as you see, because of the auto number, it assigned it number 1. First one we've done, first feature. We field or size and type, and our date field, it auto-filled with today's date. So then we have size. Because we did it as a pick list, I can hit the pull down arrow, and I'll just say 4. And if this was a water line, I'll just say it's PVC. And then if we had a note to put in, we could just type that in here. But if this is all we need to do, I'll just hit OK. So now that number 1 feature is listed in the current feature window and all of our tools are highlighted. most of the tools, see, like if I click on draw, for example, down at the bottom in here, there are some hints and little tips on how to use that tool. And there are some different ways. Like this one, click on the draw tool. Down at the bottom, it's going to say left click to draw a line, right click when you're done. Control will help you draw an arc if you need to draw arcs. Give me a call. We can go over that. It can be a little temperamental at times, but I don't use it a ton. But yeah, it is there if you need it. And then P for path mode, which we will go over. So, like I said, many of the tools, and I'll just right click to clear out my cursor again, will have those tips. So draw area, got kind of the same, mostly the same hints at the bottom. Move has some different ones selected or different ones listed. Left click to draw, right click when you're done. F for a fence select, but I'll right click. So we can kind of start going over some of this now. And we'll see here that while we're editing, if we're using a move, vertexes are what we can move. And generally, we're kind of shifting those around. So if I hit S on my keyboard, we can see that each vertex highlights. And that will highlight until, I right click and pan a little bit, and now they're off. But I can hit S. So that allows me to see all of, allows me to see each vertex. So if I was, needing to adjust any of this, I would adjust each vertex and the lines will follow. So and also if you are working with, a line color or a fill color or anything that's the same color as your highlight color, and it's kind of blending in, you can change the color of each vertex. So like my highlight color is set to white, but if I was working with a white line, I wouldn't be able to see them. So I could change that. And that would be under setup and map settings. And here's the highlight color. So mine is set to white and yellow. Highlight color 2 is yellow. That is, so if I left click on anything on the map, like a parcel, it highlights white. If I select a different one, it highlights white, but the one I previously did goes to yellow. That's the highlight 2 color. So it kind of allows you to know like what you've previously clicked on, but the one that's white is the one that's selected and your information is down the left-hand side. So here I'll hit clear. So as I said, S turns on the points, but if I pan, they go off. If I hold Control and hit S, it turns those points on. And now if I pan, they stay on. And when editing, there are many times that it is very, very handy to have those points on. So, and then to turn those off, just hit S again, and it turns those off. So with this being said, the tools, kind of the main editing tools that we'll go over today, I guess you'd say the basic building blocks of editing are going to be the top 3 here, the first 3, and the first 2 on the bottom row. So we have the draw tool for drawing lines, place symbol or putting any point on the map, such as an address point, fire hydrant, anything that's going to be a point. you would use this tool. And then next over is the draw area tool. And that is anything that's an area, anything from, zoning to a city boundary to parcels, anything that's drawn as an area is going to be done with this tool. And then down on the bottom, we have move and delete. And this is for moving any feature that's out on the map, kind of adjusting things, and then to delete, getting rid of it. So those are kind of the 5 main tools on the editing tool. We have a lot of tools over here, but these 5 are the ones that get used by far the most. And if you have questions about any of the others, feel free to give me a call. We can go over anything. And, I may touch on some of those as we get into some of this, some of the editing. And but we're going to kind of focus on these 5 for now. So with our first tool here and with our first feature that we have, we'll hit draw. I'll just hover over that, left click, and now we have kind of changes the cursor kind of crosshairs. And as it says kind of at the bottom, left click to draw, right click when you're done. So I can just left click, kind of anchor a point, and if I move the cursor out, it's kind of like using the measure tool up here, the ruler. It's kind of anchors a point here, and I'm not holding the button down or anything, just kind of moving the mouse around. So if that's all I need here, I can just left click. And then if that's all I need, right click to finish. There's my line. See, we chose the kind of darker blue and kind of made it a little thicker so we could see it easily. And then if that's all I need to do, I'll just right click to clear that tool off the cursor. And now it's back to the pointer and we just drew a line. And that is all there is to it. So now if we left click, pulls the information, it's feature number 1, size 4, PVC, and it was made today. And that's all there is to it. We can also, we don't just have to, click 1, click 2, and done. We can also, I'll say, I'll do a new feature. I'm just going to leave this one I'll just call it number 2. Hit OK. So now under current feature, it says we're working with feature number 2. I can also choose draw again and just click as many times as I needed. I'll just kind of make a line across there, right click to finish, right click to clear my cursor. And now we have a not so straight line. And if I hit S, we can see each point, like say each vertex, and that is everywhere that I left clicked to anchor a point. And it just kind of pulls the line in between. The line follows all of the points. And as far as the line tool and just drawing lines, that's all there is to it. And those drawing lines like that is going to be for anything that you need a line for. The next one over is going to be the draw area, or I'm sorry, place symbol. So if we do a number 3, and then I'll just choose place symbol. As we see, mine's kind of crooked right now because I was playing with that earlier. We can use the arrows to rotate those symbols around. A majority of the time, you'll probably just want them straight up and down. There's kind of arrows pointing the top. That says it's kind of pointing up, but anywhere that we click puts that feature on the map. And like I said, as far as anything that's a point, address point, anything like that, it's just create your feature, select the place symbol tool, click, and you're done. Next over, we have the Draw Area tool, and I'll create another feature. So we do want to always try to create a new feature every time. Otherwise, let's say if I just kind of placed like the line, the symbol, the curvy line, everything, and we just used number 1 the whole time. Like here, I click this and it says number 1. If we'd done this all with the same feature, when we click on 1, it would highlight it all. So, just so that you don't, place some fire hydrants or something. If you inadvertently use the same feature for every hydrant that you put on the map, if you click on 1, it highlights them all. And if you change data on 1, it changes it for them all. So that's one thing to be careful of. And like I said, just kind of keep in your mind, always create a new feature. So now that we did number 4, we'll choose Draw Area. And then we can I'll just left click a few times. You see it kind of draws an area out there. And when I right click to finish, it's filled in. So if we had done the line tool and drawn this, it would just be the line with no fill. But with the area, it's filled in, kind of like parcels would be. We can also, if we have additional areas to put in here, we could hit New. I'll just hit OK again. If we draw an area and it crosses over the first area that we drew. So if I come down here, draw that, right click, it's going to give me a message saying that these 2 areas overlap. Would I like to remove the overlapping portion? In this case, I'll say yes. You see that corner of the first one we drew, it cut it off. So this can come in very handy if, again, like if you're doing zoning, you could make one big zone and then start doing new features and withdraw area with other zone types and just keep putting those in, and it's just going to keep cutting out of the first one. And again, any questions on that, or if you are working on zoning or any type of a map that has a bunch of big areas and everything, give me a holler. I'll be more than happy to help and kind of go over this further. But also we could create another one. And if I had an area that was going to go in, we'll just say right in here, but it needed to connect exactly to this existing curvy line that we did, I would hit Draw Area. And I might say start down here. And this is where I might need to hit S. S is in Sam, turn on those points. And if I hover over one of those points, you can see kind of like a little box pops up. If I have that little box, I can left click. And then here we would just click on each one of these points. And then I'll right click to finish. Now I know that we have our new area in and it's exactly connected to that first line. We also have the option kind of from the hints that we talked about earlier. If I do a new feature, number 7, if I needed to fill this area in, I can hit Draw Area. I'll hit S to turn on my points, left click, and if I needed to come down here, I can hit P for path mode, then hover over this, and the line snaps automatically to all of the vertexes in between. So I'll just left click here, right click to finish, and we're done. That can save you a lot of time if there's a bunch of vertexes to click on, or vertices, I should say. But I will say, kind of throw out, just be careful with, you can kind of see where the line is highlighting where it's going. If you were coming along, for example, this line of parcels, just pay attention to it because periodically that line, like if you clicked here and then, hit path mode and came up here, it may not come straight up that line. It may want to zigzag and go around some of these parcels and just be careful of that. If it does do that and you've clicked, you can hit Control V to kind of undo the last thing that you did, like the last click. So if we had, like, I'll just use the same feature here, but if I just was drawing like this and I said, oh, I went too far, I can hold Control and hit Z and go back individual places. And like I mentioned, using the same feature, if I click on this line, it highlights both of those because I used the same feature twice. So next, now that we have some items drawn out here, we'll go over move and delete. Move is probably one of the, biggest tools. There's more ways to use that particular tool than about anything else. I'll hit clear here. Kind of the rundown on move would be hit move. And if, this symbol that we have out here, if it's just in the wrong place, I can hover over that symbol and you see the little box pop up, left click and hold, and now my cursor says drag. If I put it over here and release, it's over there. And it's going to be the same with any of these. If I hit S's and Sam, turn on the points, hover over one of the points there, left click and hold, bring that up, and it just adjusts that line. And I'm going to do a Control S to turn those on and keep them on. But if we needed to adjust this line here, we just pick each vertex and just adjust it to however we need it. And we can pull that up, and wherever we move it, the lines are just going to follow. If we run into a situation where maybe we need to bend this down, but we don't have a vertex to grab, with move selected, we can hit move, hover over the line and hit V for vertex, and it's going to add a vertex. Now we can grab that, left click and hold, and bend that down. So now we can also hit move. And if we just needed to move one of these or move them all, we can left click to highlight, left click to highlight, left click to highlight. So we have all three of those selected. Grab a vertex, slide it over, and it moves them all. Or we can, if we just needed to move, this portion right here, we can left click and hold, drag a window over just the vertexes we want to move, release, grab one of them, left click and hold, and you can kind of see all of them moving at the same time, release, and it slides those in. Or we can move, we'll just select all of these again, right click, so now it says move from. Now I can go put my cursor anywhere on the map I want, left click and hold, and as you see the points kind of floating. We can float that into position, release, and we're done. So I guess I would say, or we can, if we know that, for example, this vertex right here is supposed to connect to this vertex right here, and all of this is drawn correctly, we could hit move, select those again, right click, so it says move from, do one click. Oh, let's see, and I double clicked on accident. So it says move from, one left click. So now it says move to. It says, where do I want to put this vertex? I want to connect it to this vertex. And it shifts them all down. And these two are connected now. Now these two here, if we zoom in real close, see, are really close to each other, but they're not connected. So I could just hit move, pull this down so that it's kind of right on top of it. But as we see, if I zoom out, if I grab this one, it moves all the lines. But this one just moves this top one. And that's because those aren't actually snapped together. There's a vertex on this top area, but not on the bottom. So like we did before, to add a vertex, I can hover over this point, hit V to add a vertex. And I just rolled my scroll wheel back to zoom out a little bit. It kind of refreshes the screen. But now if I grab this, they are connected. So that's a way to get everything connected. So if you get the lines pretty much on top of each other, hit move, hover over, and hit V, they will be connected. They're all snapped together then. And any questions on that at any time, let me know. give me a holler. So now we have delete. So anything that we need to get rid of, I'll hit delete here. I'll just hover over the symbol that we did. And then left or right click. It says, are you sure you want to delete this feature? Yes, I am. And it's gone. Now that particular feature, if I go to the index, I think that was number 2 that we did, or number 3 maybe. So if I hit 3 and hit locate, it just blinks. Like it didn't locate anything. So if I did number 1 and hit locate, it takes us to this line and highlights it. But number 3 was that symbol that we did. And it's listed in the index, but there's nothing on the map, so it didn't go to it. So using delete, say just clicking delete, clicking that symbol, and I'm going to undo there. That number 3, if you hit delete and then click the feature on the map and then right click and say, yes, I want to delete it, the feature is still in your index so that you can choose that as your current feature and redraw it. If it's a feature that you simply don't want anymore, you do not need it for anything, in that case, you could double click, go to the wrench at the top of the feature window, delete this feature. Are you sure you want to delete this feature? Yes. Deleted it just like it did before. But if we go to the index, it's completely gone. So it's kind of 2 different ways to delete. Whereas I did the kind of drag a window to delete with the drag a window to move earlier. If this line, for example, is drawn correctly, but we just don't need this piece up here, I can hit delete, drag a window over just this end vertex. It's going to highlight back to the next vertex, and then I can right click. Are you sure? Yes. And then if I hit clear, it deleted just that line back to that vertex. So you can delete just a portion of a line if needed. I will throw out there that using move or delete and dragging a window, be a little bit careful with that one, because it will, when you drag the window, it will select any vertex, any feature on any layer that is locked for editing. So any of them that are in editing mode, it will, if you drag a window and do delete, it will delete them all. If you hit move, drag window, anything that's in that window that's set for editing is going to move with it. So just kind of be careful with that. And if you do have multiple layers locked for editing, like if we go to the index, like in this edit lock column, if we have quite a few that are set, you may unselect and may take it down to the um, just the one that you want to do kind of the fence move or the mass move. Just have it set for editing. Go back out, then you could hit move, drag a window and move it all. Because you know that only the one layer is going with it. So that's kind of going over just the basics of those 5 tools. So kind of real quick to and I'm going to hit S to turn those vertexes off. And then I'm also going to jump in here and turn this layer off that we've been working with. So just to kind of go over, just to put into kind of practice what we've been talking about, I'm going to make another layer and just show you how quick and easy it can be to, get some zones out there and get a layer created. So I'm going to go back to the layer settings, add layer, create new layer, basic layer, just like the one that we primarily use. Highlight there. I'm just going to call it patrol zones. And from here, we have our patrol zones layer, and there it is. A blue line is fine. We'll change the white text, black shadow around it so that it's easy to see. Switch our current layer to patrol zones. New feature. Zone 1. Hit OK. So if I zoom in here, and we'll just say that this top portion here, we want that to be 1, I'll hit draw area. So I'd probably go a little slower normally, but for the sake of time, we'll just buzz through this real quick. Like I could hit this, I'll hit P for path mode, snap it right onto the town boundary. There's our first zone. Now we'll do new feature. We'll do zone 2. Draw that one. So I'll just buzz around here real fast. We'll just cut across. You see, there's a couple places there I obviously overlapped. So it says, do you want to cut those out? Sure. It keeps the line nice and smooth. And then the last one, we'll do zone 3. Draw area. And we'll call that. Yeah, I overlapped a little bit again. No worries. So now we can see that we have our zones out there. But it is kind of hard to see anything. So kind of some other options from the layer settings is because we have, our text here. And if I click on the text down here where it says label format, it is labeling by the feature name field, that's the only field we have because I didn't adjust any of that. But under the auto labels, we can go kind of click on this one, turn the auto labels on, and it's got a label height of 14 pixels. I'll take that to 18, make it a little bit bigger. And then also, because everything is just blue, I'm going to click on the fill color. And instead of just picking blue, I'm going to hit classify. And it's going to give me this option, unique values. I'll hit next. This is the only field we have. It's going to label by the feature name or color code by the feature name. So there's our zones 1, 2, and 3. Assign different colors. We have the labels turned on. I will turn the opacity down a little bit so it looks okay, and then close. So now we have zone 1, 2, and 3, all different colors, and we can see through what's underneath. So that's just kind of real quick, kind of going over some of the ways to kind of put that into practice quickly. And with any layer that you have, yeah, let me know. I can help you set it up and go over these tools with you if you have any other questions. And on that note, I do believe Leslie said we do have a question, so I will bring her in.
Hello again. We had someone reach out and ask when creating fields within your feature, would there be any issues caused by editing the comments field to a larger number at a later date if needed, say changing from 200 to 400 characters?
That is not a problem, and that's very common because, yeah, the reason you can, and I've done that 11 billion thousand times. So like on this patrol zones, or actually I'll just switch back to my other, I'll turn on that practice layer. If we select this one, like where we have type, I think it was set to 20 characters. So if I just start typing, and I'm just going to hit random numbers. Once we hit 20, you can't go any farther. So, but if I hit OK, so that one now, has random numbers, 20 characters out. If we jump into the layer settings, right click on the name, left click on the layer format, hit OK, go to the type, and like if we changed this to 35, close this. Now if we go back, the field is longer and we can type more. So yeah, it does not hurt to go in and change it. I think there is, you don't want to make them too long. I mean, if you have a bunch of fields, you don't want to make all of the fields crazy long. There's like a limit to, it's some very specific number, 4,872 or something like that. But yeah, so just, make sure you don't type a book in there or anything. But yeah, if you go from 200 to 400, anything like that, that is no problem.
All right. Well, thank you, Jason. That's it for our questions today. Thank you for going over that valuable information to help our users become more familiar with features that WTH has to offer within our GIS platforms. If you found today's session to be helpful and would like to know more, feel free to hop on our website, WTHGIS.com, and register for other webinars that we have to offer. Just a friendly reminder to watch out for that email with a survey link and a recording of what we learned here in today's session. Any input and feedback is greatly appreciated. And you can also review the recording on our website by navigating back to the registration page where it will soon be posted. If for some reason after some time your company's firewall doesn't seem to allow the email to come through, feel free to reach out to a WTH staff member and we can send you the links directly. Thank you from your friends here at WTH Technology.